Hello and welcome to the very first live sessions, truly international episode. And it's a kind of chat show where Char and I will be discussing important issues and topics for our community. So let me start by introducing myself. I'm Sophie. Oh, excuse me, that was my alarm that we were going live. Oh, stop. We are learning. So let me introduce myself. I'm Sophie, I'm 67. I was born in London, England, and I now live in the southwest of France in a region called the Limousin, and my cat's just come in. I joined CDH in 2016 and then TGH once it was launched. But the way my life was changing, I needed to quit the site to sort out my own life, really. But I returned early this year with a mission of sharing my knowledge, information, and hard-learned lessons with you all. With me here today is the lovely Char, coming from our home in Saskatchewan in Canada. So Char, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sophie. This is so exciting. This is so exciting for me. I'm loving that we're all here. Thank you guys all for joining us, and Vanessa for providing the platform for this to happen. This is really exciting. I was born in London, Ontario in 1961 to a military family. I dropped out of high school 3 days into grade 11 and started touring our country, playing country music as a drummer and vocalist, sang a lot of Merle Haggard songs and George Jones songs. And then I got involved in drugs and alcohol, trying to suppress Char, and that was pretty damaging. Almost ended my journey on this planet. I come out the other side of all that, and now I'm certified life coach and certified hypnotist, and I run my own coaching business. And my goal is to just try to help as many people as I possibly can get to the place that I'm now at, which is most of the time 99% just joyful and fun. It's I don't stress about life so much anymore, and I want to help people do that.
Thank you, Char. That's very kind of you. Right, so we're going to begin this landmark broadcast by discussing one of your articles titled "The World We Choose to See." For those who haven't read it, I'll give you a brief summary. Excuse me, because I have to read this. My memory isn't that great these days, not for these things. Char mentions the phrase, "seek and you will find," going on to suggest that our thinking can take us to where we want to be. Perhaps that's not so easy in this modern world, and too easy to be distracted by the demands of modern life. She points out how easy it is to fall into a trap of negative thinking, and we may not be consciously aware of what is happening to us and dragging us in a direction we don't necessarily want to go. Just to point out that we'll be taking some questions at the end of this first interview, so prepare yourself for those. But Char, I'm going to hit you with the first question now.
I'm ready.
Okay. You use the words projecting into the future. How do we do that, and how will it change things?
Oh, projecting into the future. If we look into the universe, quantum physics, that kind of stuff, everything is energy, and our thoughts and our feelings are energy. And when we put a focused thought with a strong emotion and we send that energy out into the universe, we're projecting into the future. And how that affects us is whatever we're projecting out there is what's going to show up in our daily lives. And it took me a long time to learn that. I started projecting intentionally, because we all do this all the time. We just don't do it intentionally. We do it unconsciously usually. And that's the difference. And so I started intentionally standing at my kitchen window looking out and saying, I love seeing 3 little yellow butterflies. And I had committed to doing this kind of work for a 6-month period. Up till then, my life was what it was. And I said, that's not working. So I'm going to do this for 6 months, 100% wholehearted. And then if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I haven't lost anything. I've got nothing to lose. I might have something to gain. So I started doing this, and it took a couple of months. And then one day I'm standing there saying, I love seeing 3 little yellow butterflies, and feeling the joy of that. And they actually, 3 little yellow butterflies went by. And that's significant because that was November in Saskatchewan. So all of this was covered in about 2 inches of snow. And that instantly changed my mind, my belief system. And I said, okay, there must be something to this. And I started to dig into it more. Now I understand projecting out there is what's going to come back to us. And
Okay.
we can do that intentionally, you know.
Would you say that was a point where you perhaps began a higher level of awareness of your life and your actions and thoughts?
Well, it certainly began an upward scale of becoming more aware, for sure. Yeah. I started paying attention to what I was thinking a little more. I started paying attention to patterns of thought and feeling, and then I started to change those things intentionally.
Okay.
You know, we do this unconsciously every day. We all do.
Okay, well, moving on to question 2. Excuse me. Thinking what others might think about me was something that you refer to as you gave too much time to. How can we learn to recognize that and not do the same?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time worrying about what other people thought about me. That was one of my childhood messages. You know, my mom was always saying, "What will the neighbors think? Or what are they going to say about that?" But you know, and that controlled me for a lot of years. When we're in the position of I lost my spot there. Remind me again.
It was about, excuse me, what
Yeah.
you gave too much time to worrying about what
Oh
other
yeah,
people.
worrying about what other people are thinking. We do that. We can actually stop ourselves from doing anything if we're concerned about what people are going to think about us or what they're going to feel about us. And so, you know, how you can start to recognize that is if you're seeking approval. I remember years ago, I played in the country bands, as I said, and I woke up about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had this just a deep lonely feeling going on inside of me. And so I walked downstairs to the front desk, and this is a small hotel in small town Saskatchewan, you know, so it's not a fancy place or anything. And I asked the girl behind the counter, who I'd never met before, if I could have a hug. And she turned me down. And I had come prepared to that because it's not the first time I've made that experience. So I pulled a $50 bill out of my pocket and laid it on the counter. And I said, "I'll give you $50. I just want a hug. I feel really lonely and I just want a hug." And she said, "No." So I pulled another $50 out and I offered her $100 cash right there. And I said, "You stand on this side of the gate. I'll stand on this side of the gate. I just want to, you know, a little embrace." And she absolutely refused that to me. So I went back to my hotel room feeling completely dejected and even more alone. But what I realized in that moment was I was trying to get that feeling of love for self outside of self. And that's got
Yeah.
to come from inside. That's an inside job. And once you start to understand that and you can create that, what's magical about it is when you love yourself, other people then love you too.
That's still my article.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay, let's move rapidly on to question 3 because we're on a time schedule here. It's one of the points that you're making here that we can trap ourselves with our own thinking. Personally, I get that.
Yeah, absolutely, we can. It's there's a quote that says, "First we make our habits, and then our habits make us." And so when you think a certain way, if you think a certain thought over and over and over again for a number of years, what then becomes to happen is it becomes a habitual thought. And then we start to do things that reinforce that thought, and we just make it stronger and stronger until it's to the point where it's controlling us.
Right. Okay.
It becomes a cycle where we're trapped. It's like a treadmill of negative, self-destructive behaviors and thoughts. It's crazy making.
Yeah, something very easy to fall into, and I'm sure a lot of people realize that they've done it themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, on to question 4. Would you say that this could be a result of our thinking being influenced by the media? For example, if you see somebody in a soap or in a film, you may choose to emulate the way they behave or the way they act in certain situations. It's it's really I'm asking about the power of the media and how it affects people in this kind of respect.
The media totally influences us. If I was just to draw a big yellow letter M on this screen, bright yellow letter M, probably everyone watching this program today would be able to tell you, "Oh, that's the McDonald's logo." Not all of us eat at McDonald's or frequent the place on a regular basis, but we know the logo because we've seen it a million times. And that's the key. I've created this formula, A plus R plus E equals C. And what that means is affirmations or any statement, negative or positive, doesn't matter. Any statement you make. For example, if you say, I'm confident, you will become confident. If you say, I'm such a loser, you will become such a loser. That's how it works. So affirmations plus repetition, and the repetition is what all marketers and advertisers know. They know even if you don't like the product, if they stick that golden yellow, the letter M in front of you 50 times, and usually right at supper time, 5 o'clock in the afternoon is when you see those commercials on television.
Okay.
And they burn it into your brain. So it's the first thought that you have.
Right, so I think the answer to that question then was a yes.
Yeah, affirmations plus repetition plus emotions equals change. That's how it's done.
Okay, moving on to the fifth question and the last one I have for you now. Would you describe your approach to one based on a level of awareness and an ability to be open in your thinking?
Absolutely. Chapter 1 of my book is Have an Open Mind. And that comes from a quote that I heard from the late Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, where he says, have a mind that's open to everything, but attached to nothing. In other words, just sort of pay attention and give everything an opportunity, give everything a chance, because you never know. There might be something wonderful come out of it for you. And if you close it off, I mean, Wayne Gretzky says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I gave this stuff that I write about, this manifesting and intentional conscious creation, I gave that 6 months, and I've never looked back because it totally changed my world. As you know, you're experiencing it. Look at that beautiful wine glass in the background. You know. Yeah,
unfortunately, it's only a photograph.
Yeah.
And I'm not in Paris. I'm about 3 hours on the train from Paris.
Right.
Yeah, but I thought I'd just make the point that I'm in France, and I think I've done that quite clearly.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, well, look, I think that's brought us about halfway through. And I think let's have a quick look to see if we've got some questions here that we can deal with at this point. So let me quickly scan through. I'll just say quick hellos to various people as I'm going down. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Jamie Lynn. Hi, Vanessa. Wanda. Aja Ponce. Yeah, I may not pronounce that right. Well, I need to read the questions now. I'll get to names when I pick the question. If I see one, as most people just being friendly and saying hi, that's great. But please feel free to put questions forward about that question. Repetition and consistency are the key, says Dawn.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right, Dawn. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody says,
and big emotions.
Aja Ponce says, I disagree that media is responsible for me. I worked in the media, but I think with us is it family being the most powerful thing?
Yes, true that too.
Yes, well, all external sources, I guess, it can be powerful influences, can't they?
It's the formula, affirmations plus repetition plus emotions. It doesn't really matter the source. If you're hearing a message over and over and over again, and there's a lot of emotion behind that message, it doesn't really matter the source. I mean, media is one. That's you watch some of that's why I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in 21 years. Part of
the reason that I put that question about media, and I understand Asha's comment didn't make that person, but having seen the film Disclosure, I think that is the right name, isn't it? Yes, made by transgender people, essentially, completely. The crew, the actors, everybody in it. Yeah. That shows how transgender people were grossly portrayed in cinema through Hollywood. It's revolting when you see it, and it's no wonder that the transgender people get such a bad time, or have had such a bad time, because the people's minds have been programmed, conditioned to react in certain ways. I mean, have a look at the film, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's that's the power of media, and it's not good. Okay, so
it's all sources too. It's not just media. It's all sources that repeat a message to you with lots of emotional content to it.
Yes, absolutely. So hopefully, Asia, we've addressed that point you made. Thank you for your question. Okay, from Stephen, no question. Okay, no, I'm just reading the wrong
I'm
bit.
not seeing any questions on my side over here on my screen.
Okay.
So you're on your own with what the questions
Well,
are, dear.
you've got to be in the live sessions chat room.
Yeah, I've got private messaging from Vanessa. Well, maybe I need to go.
Asia's just posted the thank you. You're most welcome, and very happy that we're able to have this opportunity to share. Aya, I thank you for correcting my pronunciation. That's kind of you. Yes, I mean, it's just so reassuring that what we've been saying and what we write in our articles, that the members on the site are able to not only just associate with some of the things we write, because Char and I get the lovely comments from members. So we know that we're hitting the right notes and we're addressing issues that you all suffer from in certain degrees. So yeah, I mean, thank you. Thank you for joining us here today. It's a privilege and an honor to be able to present this. And it just started off as an idea. And here we are live. So Diana has asked, have you known since childhood you wanted to be feminine, or did you start later in life? I started at the age of 52. Well, from my point of view, I started dressing when I was probably about 7 years of age. And it was something that stayed in my life through 2 marriages, a long relationship. And it wasn't until I was 63 and I read an article that changed my life, I was able to accept who I was and be empowered with the ability to love myself, which I'd never managed to do all of my life. I spent my time worrying about the people I was connected to, my wife, my family, my children. And when I realized that I had neglected myself, that was it. So, hey.
Yeah, and mine, I knew I wanted to dress feminine when I was about 5 years old. Was the first time I came out of my mom's bedroom with high heels on, and she went, "Oh my God, get those off your feet!" And being in a military family, it was you know, it was not an accepted thing. Everything portrayed on television at that time showed anyone transgender or gender different as some kind of sexual predator. And so I grew up with that feeling, that belief about myself, that there was something wrong and sick and bad about me. And I have discovered that there is nothing wrong and sick and bad about any one of us in this particular space today. And that's what I hope to help people understand. This is I have 4 suicide attempts under my belt. And I've purged my closet countless times, thrown tens of thousands of dollars of clothes and makeup and jewelry off the bridge into the river. And, you know, here we are. And what has happened for me is I've become so much more at peace in my own skin and so much more comfortable, more confident. I enjoy more days. I still have a bumpy day here and there. I still have rough times, as I'm sure you do, Sophie, and we all do. That's natural.
It's life, you know, you can't escape life.
That's just part of it. What do you got? What have you got there, dear?
Well, I just want to, let's just scroll past. That was a question put forward by Diana from CDH. So thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Diana.
Who started at the age of 52. So congratulations, and I hope you have a happy and enjoyable life.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're getting the questions are coming quicker. I can read them now. Okay. Dawn says, by the way, you both look lovely. Thank you, darling.
Thank you, dear.
Sophie, am I still married? No. Dawn says, no, I'm not married. 2 marriages, came to France with a French lady. That lasted 12 years, and I've been on my own since then. So since 2012, I've been on my own. So there you are. Sounds like that would be wrong.
I've been married 3 times, and I'm on my 4th marriage, and a very happy one now. I finally got it right.
Cindy Rebond says, sounds like my life, but late bloomer, but very happy now. That's great news, Cindy. Good luck for the future, and take care. Oh, Tessa's put a picture on. She's working. Great picture. Like your sausages.
Lobsters?
I don't. Oh, he's lobster. I thought it was sausages. Small picture. Thanks for looking in, Tessa. Jamie Lynn says that seems like the truth there, Char. Not quite sure what I'm catching up on.
I've got a question here, Sophie, from Vanessa, a question from myself. When things get dark, how do you see the light through the darkness? And do you have advice for anyone else going through dark times? Yes, absolutely. And whoever, thank you for sending in the question. The answer that I have for you on that question is, I use a little thing I call the emotional tow truck. Some people call it goal setting. I don't particularly like goal setting because I don't like that title, but I use the emotional tow truck. So when I'm in a really dark place, and it happens, I have anxiety and depression, and like I said, I've been down that road several times. What I do is I've gone on YouTube and I've downloaded a whole bunch of just really upbeat, happy music, and I've forced myself to change my state. Doesn't matter what you do. Inside of every one of us is one piece of joy. There's one moment in your life where you felt really joyful, and if you can pull up the emotions from that moment and stay focused on that, just your brain will want to jump backwards and start thinking about the negative, self-destructive stuff, but stay focused on that and keep reminding yourself. That repetition will then make that a habit, and then pretty soon you'll be happy most of the time, as opposed to less of the time. Thank you for the question. That was really a good question. I like it. Thank you.
Yes, that was a good
Sophie,
question.
we have an article of yours we need to get into too before today's over.
What a surprise.
Should we ask our boss there, Vanessa, and see if we need to jump out of questions for a minute and get into we can answer some of these questions in forums too. Is that true? Is that how that works? I can go into the forum.
There's going to be a forum set up for anything that we can't deal with, and also because not everybody in the membership can view this live, so they will be seeing it and not able for us to respond to their questions. So
okay, perfect.
I'm guessing the forum will be there in good time.
Okay.
Well, after this, I'm imagining.
Okay, well, let's stop the questions there for a minute. Let's hear from Sophie. And so before you sits Sophie, I saw that you get called Frenchie sometimes. Is that true?
Well, I think when I first joined on the website, just to make it clear that I was in France, I put that name, and it was nobody else is using it. So yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, I just saw it somewhere when I was looking. When I was what do you call it? Stalking you. So
I did have it as an email address at one time.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so let me ask you some questions about your article, Learning to Love Yourself. And a few minutes ago, you mentioned that you had stumbled onto an article that changed things for you by Gay Hendricks. And one of the things you mentioned in the beginning of your article is that the learning process. You started the learning process of learning how to love yourself. So how did you know? I mean, for everyone watching, how can you explain to them, how did you know that you actually didn't love yourself? What was the thing that tipped you off?
Well, I think I doubted that all my life, because through my marriages and even with my parents, I questioned whether I loved any of those people or they loved me. I wasn't clear. I wasn't even sure what love really was, to be honest. And I wasn't sure that I'd felt love. And I just went through life in that state, I guess, thinking it must be love, but maybe I'm a bit cold. I don't know. It didn't click somehow for me.
It didn't feel like love.
No, I expected love to be a bit more overwhelming and, just feeling that kind of burning passion inside. It's not to say I never cared for people. I did love them in my own way. But that learning process took me a lifetime to discover the key to, really. And it was a monumental moment in my life. It was.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it was the turning point, and it was by finding that article. And after years of reading books, searching online, articles on everything I could find that might have helped, philosophy, psychology, relationship issues, relationship counseling sites. I explored just about every avenue I thought I could look into, but there's such a lot out there. and
Yeah.
finding something that I could relate to personally, that I could identify and get help from it. I never found anything. And the learning really started to happen. I've been repeating a pattern. I realized after my last relationship split up 2012, found myself with no work, no job prospects. The second home that we had next door to the one we had was a rental property for holidaymakers called a gîte. And my ex moved into there, and then I lost my income. So life became very difficult. I had to reevaluate my whole life, my existence. How was I going to survive? And surprise, surprise, my desire to buy clothes and makeup and shoes again re-emerged. Yeah. But I tried to repeat the pattern of living like a man. And I ended up meeting a woman who was a 2.5-hour drive away. I met a French musician that I made contact with, and she invited me to a party, and I met this woman at her party. Cut a long story short, I went and stayed at her home 3 times. We went out sightseeing. She was very sweet, took me out sightseeing. We'd had lunch out in restaurants. In the evening, we'd finish up by meeting a group of her friends in a restaurant where there was a live band. We had a great time. I stayed in my own room in her home, and it was very platonic. And it was after the 3rd visit, I was driving home, and I thought, I don't want a relationship with another woman. Why am I doing this? And that's when it hit that I was just repeating a pattern. Yeah. And so that was an awakening, a level of awareness, and that was where the learning started. And I carried on researching online, and I stumbled across that article, and that was the epiphany of it all. And it was as though Gay Hendricks had written that article about me, although he couldn't have done because he never knew me. Yeah. And yeah. I was overwhelmed emotionally on every level. And I was stunned, first of all, that I felt it was written for me, specifically for me, which was so uncanny. And it made me realize that the person I'd not loved ever in my life was myself. Yeah. And when you realize that, it's it goes very deep. And I had a good week of lots of tears, but it enabled me to change my life. Absolutely. You know, it's that simple one article that allowed me to accept who and what I was and who I've been all my life, not feel ashamed, not feel bad, not feel guilty. I understood why I'd done a lot of things I did. I lived my life in secret and never told anybody what I used to do. My second wife had a suspicion and asked me occasionally if there was something I wanted to talk about. And I just, I brick walled it basically.
So would you say then that the first stage of learning for you in this process, the first step was to recognize that that you had a situation here that you had to deal with? Would you say that? Like how would you describe that? My view of that is that I believe that deep down we all know the little things that we have to deal with, or they're in that little space in your mind that we keep closed away from anybody else, a very private place. Even sometimes from ourselves, right?
Well, absolutely. And it may even be in the depths of our subconscious. I'm not sure. I'm not qualified enough to say that, but I feel that it may be. And I think the way that you can deal with issues that you are aware of, and it is not easy to get yourself into that place, first of all, to make the decision or the choice. But when you are able to bring something from your subconscious mind into your conscious state of mind, your daily life, I believe that you're almost compelled to deal with it because it becomes part of your real life, your daily existence. Yeah. And I think that's the process I went to. And I've written about it in other articles that I've got on the site, that I believe that sometimes these things happen through a state of adversity where you're forced to behave and act differently. You have to come at a problem with a new mindset, if you like, and not try and, it's like me having repeated that pattern of living like a man, you know, I got close to coming out in my second marriage, but realized my whole world would possibly collapse or explode, and I would hurt the people that I believed I loved and cared for, and my children. And I don't, at the time I thought I was cowardly, but I think I had a sense of honor and responsibility. And I don't ever believe I make bad decisions. I make the best decision I can at that time.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, we absolutely do that.
So I might have drifted off your question there.
A little. So this article that you read, though, it wasn't about gender stuff. So it was just a relationship article.
It was indeed, yes.
So this isn't something that's specific to transgender or gender different people. This is something, this learning to love yourself stuff crosses a lot of barriers and boundaries into the world, and without it, some of the stuff that you talked about, we mentioned about stifling and repressing the dressing, you know, how you almost came out in the relationship and so on and so on. We've all done that. I've done that too. During that time, did you experience any anger or anxiety or frustration or anything? I know I had a lot of anger myself. How was it for you?
Well, I think, yes, I can. Frustration, I can answer yes, I suffered frustration. Anger, not in a physical, violent way or being terribly abusive in some manner or form, but how it emerged, I believe, in my life was because of my persistent or lifelong suppression of who I was. I think it emerged in a rather unfortunate characteristic of me being rather critical and sarcastic to those close to me, because they're the ones that you can abuse more than anybody in your life, and they'll put up with you to a limit. And when I realized all that had happened, I just thought, well, it's no wonder my relationships never lasted, because I was killing them off slowly. And whilst I was not physically violent or aggressive in that way, I believe that was a form of mental cruelty, which is, more damaging in some respects. And I felt terrible when I realized how I lived my life. And I made a point of repairing the damage, because I had to, not associated with my lifestyle, but I hadn't spoken to my sister for 20 years. And once I moved here and I started to live this life, I thought I need to make good some things in my life. And we now have a good relationship. I've stayed with her and we've been here. My son, who I hadn't spoken with for 6 years, I've repaired that relationship. We can't come to terms with seeing me, but we have a good relationship via text messaging and so forth, and we occasionally phone. My daughter, who fought for my love and affection, even though I realized that I'd been unpleasant to her in some parts of her life, now have a beautiful relationship with her, better than ever before, and a level of understanding. She accepts me. I've stayed with her on a couple of occasions. She visited me here in France, and all is good. So it's
nice.
I've dealt with it.
So how would you describe self-love now? How do you know that you now love yourself? What's changed?
I'm happy. How do I know I love myself? Yeah, it really is. I don't have. When I was able to live this life as I want to, the freedom and the burden that was lifted from my life and my soul was just incredible. The freedom that I felt, the happiness, the joy. And I was fortunate enough to find a house. It's the most rundown house I've ever owned in my life. The view is fantastic across a valley where I watch the sunset. There's a river below. I've only met nice people. My life has just blossomed.
I'll interject 1 second. If there's any questions for Sophie, guys, get your questions in, and as soon as Sophie's finished answering this one.
I've been watching the screen go up on the left hand corner of my eye, so I think I've perhaps instigated some here.
Okay, good, yeah. So I've seen a couple of photographs of the valley behind you and the bridge, and it's spectacular. It's just spectacular where you live.
It's a lovely place to live. It really is. And I mean, I'm not quite where I didn't even expect to get as far as I'm now in my transition when I embarked on it, because I was just happy because being able to find a way to accept who I was, not feel bad about myself anymore, and really start to begin to love myself. And that was the life changer. But as it progressed, when I progressed, and I realized that I could get treatment through the system here, and my life has just gone up and up and up and up and up, and I'm getting better and better. Unfortunately, potential surgery is delayed through the world problems that we're having now. So I like to maintain a focus that it will still happen and it will still be possible.
Still on the calendar.
When it does, I will be somebody that will be living the dream that I had when I was young. I used to go to bed at night in the hope I'd wake it up as a young girl in the morning, and it never happened. Waking up as a young girl in the morning is not going to happen for either one of us now. But we've both tipped that scale a long time ago, sweetie. Don't get anxious on me now.
Yeah. Have you got some questions there, love?
Well, let me scan down.
Here's one. I've got one for you. What was the most surprising thing you discovered when you started your transition?
Nobody challenged me when I went out.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's something I'll add to that, because it's the same experience for me. When I went out, earlier we talked about the worrying about what people think, but when I went out with confidence and I just owned it, people were really respectful. I've had 2 negative experiences in 4 years roughly, and nothing more than that. And then they were just like, comments from a car window kind of thing as they went by. So yeah, that was for me too, the same thing. What have you got?
I'm just trying to scan through this. There's quite a lot there to dig in. Some of them are just comments. Who was that question by, darling, by the way?
It came from Vanessa, so I didn't see who.
Okay. All right. We've got 30 people watching now. Oh, that was a few moments ago, about 15 minutes ago. So thank you for joining us. And we're very pleased that you believe that we're worthy of your time, and we're grateful. So thank you very much. So thank you all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cindy says, male ego was poisoning my emotional state. And that was for me too. Did that happen for you? Did you have that, the male ego, gotta win, gotta, be tough enough? All that.
I never achieved that macho man thing. Because I worked in the area of art and design. So I didn't have to be a macho man. And even before I transitioned out here, I worked in a restaurant, and I used to play in a group, and the guitarist Pete was a big, sort of really tall, broad-shouldered man and very masculine. Yeah. And he used to mock me a bit and call me a bit gay. And where I worked in the restaurant, which is a friend of his, Rob, the chef, he always accused me of being gay. And I said, well, I'm not gay. And one day I was wearing shorts in the kitchen because it was hot. And I had a long apron on the front. And I had problems with my ankles. I had to wear these support socks. And I remember just turning around quickly, and his wife was there. I showed her my legs, and she went, "Oh, your legs are better than mine."
Yeah. I'm just looking at Jamie Lynn here, as says, it seems like the most important thing to accept and love ourselves, which is something that she's always had trouble with. That's something that I have always had trouble with. I'm much, much better at it now. I won't say I'm an absolute master, but I will say I'm much, much better at it. And it's a practice, like the formula that I talked about, A + R + E = C, affirmations. One of the things that I started doing, I don't know if have you ever tried mirror exercises, Sophie? Have you ever done mirror exercises? That was something that in the beginning for me, I would stand in front of the mirror. I'd get close. I'd get like this close, a foot away. And I would just look into these eyes and wait until I felt an emotional connection with whatever I was looking at in there. Okay. And then I would say, I love you just as you are. And I started repeating those messages. And one day I did that, and I literally went to my knees on the floor. I went into my bedroom, curled up on the bed in the fetal position. And it was as though it was the very first time I'd ever connected with myself in a way that felt like love. And I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And it felt so good. It relieved so much stuff. And do that. Go to the Jamie Lynn and everybody, go to the mirror and just stand a foot away and just say, you know what, you're okay. You are okay. Because we've all been programmed with these messages, and the messages, most of the messages that we've been programmed with are not messages that are supportive of our adventure and our journey. So when I talk about reprogramming your mind, you're doing affirmations repeatedly with powerful emotions. I really love you. I really love you. And just keep doing that, and it'll set in. Is that right, Sophie? Is that how it is for you?
No, I mean, I just walk around the house talking to myself a lot, you know. I give myself a beautiful smile when I go in my shower room in the morning, and you know, I might not be really awake, but I always give myself a lovely smile. Maybe, you know, push my hair up and things, you know, feel like I'm pretty, and you know I'm lovely inside, and I'm somebody that somebody out there'd be very lucky if I was in their life. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's really a big part of loving yourself. Hey, is doing things that show you that you love you. Even little things like taking care of your body. You know, eating decent meals. I remember one time I had a friend over, and I was about to sit down for supper when they showed up, and I had a really nice restaurant style meal sitting in front of me, you know, like I think it was a pork steak or something, baked potato and veggies. And she's like, wow, who's coming for supper with you? I said, nobody, but I'm special enough to cook a nice meal for, you know. And years ago, if I was by myself, you know, I'd crack open a can of beans or a package of noodles or something, you know. I didn't really take care of myself. Now I do a lot of things that show me that I love me.
Well, I used to drink far too much in my younger life, and I realized once I was able to be myself, I was drinking really to wash away that life. I drink now, still enjoy a glass of wine. I live in France. Come on, why wouldn't I be drinking wine?
Yeah, no kidding.
But it's in moderation. I don't need to do that heavy drinking thing anymore. I don't want to. And I know it's not good for me. We've had quite a lot of comments come through. I'm going to try and pull out some questions here. There's one here from Erin who asks, I have an issue with my ex-wife, recently started talking again. Story is I started with trying on her clothes while she was gone at work. She doesn't accept. I am much happier yet full-time cross-dressing as Erin now. What can I do to get her to accept it? That's a tough question.
Yeah, we can't, it's, if you put one hand against another hand and push, it's going to push back. And so we can't force anybody to accept it. What we can do is we can lead. I know for myself, my wife is Catholic. And when I went down there, she's from Philippines. And when I went to the Philippines, we went on our honeymoon. After our marriage, we went traveling around, and lo and behold, one of the places we go to, there's a transgender Filipino woman climbing a tree and singing ABBA songs, and she put on a performance for us. And during this entire performance, and I mean, we're talking 35-degree heat, you know, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and she's dancing around this dress, and the sweat's running off her, and she's climbing this tree, and there's a snake there and everything. It was incredible, and my wife was dying laughing. It was just so hilarious. And I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I gonna confess to her? I mean, she knew that I dressed, but she didn't know anything further than that, and I didn't really know at that time either. So what has happened for me is it's just been a process that I've just shown her a step at a time, that I'm still a loving, caring, kind person. I'm still getting, I do all the things that I was doing before, and maybe I even overcompensate a little, you know, and clean a house a little more often and cook meals a little more often or something. But I show her that really all that's different from her perspective can be that I might be a little more feminine acting sometimes, and I might dress a little differently. But the core of who she fell in love with is still the core of who she fell in love with. Who you are is who you are. How you know, a pine tree is a pine tree, but if you decorate it a certain way, it's called a Christmas tree, but it's still a pine tree. You're still who you are. So just keep being who you are.
So I had a similar issue with my daughter, who, when I explained to her what I'd done with my life, I'd sent some pictures, first of all, with a link to look at them online. And she replied with a message saying, I still love you, Dad. And I thought, well, that was very sweet. And that made me cry. But when I went over to visit, a couple of months afterwards, it was a very emotional time. And she, from that point on, didn't cope with it very well because she felt like she'd lost her father. And I had to explain to her that I'd always been this person, but I never had the courage, strength, or ability to live this person. So I said, look, all the memories I have, all the experiences, all the lovely times we've had together, they're all still in my mind. It's still me. I just present myself in this way now. I don't want to present myself as that man that you knew before. And I can't, I'm sorry, I owe it to myself at this stage of my life to live the life that I must have and need.
I'm trying to read. There's lots of stuff to read. Thank you guys for sending in so many questions and comments and things. This is so exciting. This is just so much fun. It's our first time doing this for Sophie and I, and we'll get more polished. That's something too that I thought would be good to mention is that if you send more questions in, we can always do another show another time in the very near future answering some of those questions and maybe go more specifically into detail with some answers on some of those questions, because some of the questions are deep and they require a lot more time and consideration than we have on this round, because we haven't read the questions before. So yeah.
When Vanessa says that she loves the mirror exercise, I'm definitely going to do that. So good luck, Vanessa.
Beautiful.
Yeah, well, I think we all might all be trying that actually.
It's a wonderful exercise. It really is. And it's, like I say, when I started doing it, I just stayed about a foot away. I got close, so there wasn't a lot of distraction in the background. And I just looked into my eyes and was silent. Sometimes I would think to myself, are you in there? Where are you, Char? I would say something like that just in my mind. And then one day it came and it was like I made this connection with myself. I'm goosebumped. I got emotions right now. It's such a powerful experience, and you connect with yourself in a way that you never have before.
Right, I've got a question for you, Char. There's Deborah who says, she said, I would like to try hypnosis and wondering, does it really help? Wow, yeah, okay.
Oh my gosh, does it help? Baby! Thank you for the question. There are lots of things online, and if we connect here, I can help you with that a little bit. Self-hypnosis is the first time I did self-hypnosis. Here's an exercise you can try. I'm laying in the bathtub, and I've got my hand here in the water, so my fingertips are just touching the water, and I just started rocking my arm back and forth like this while my fingers were touching the water. And after a while, I started forgetting about it. I just sort of forgot about it. And it's happening right now as we speak. My hand is actually automatically working. And you can have conversation when you're under self-hypnosis. This is automatic. I'm not doing this. I'm not intentionally or consciously thinking about doing this. It's just doing it on its own now. It's because I've done it so many times. But so anyway, that's something that you can try. Excuse me, you can try. And you'll find that it'll just start automatically. There it goes. See, it just automatically starts going. And it's the same when you do self-hypnosis. All you're doing is reprogramming. You're bypassing the critical factor, the part of your mind, the reticular activating system. You're basically closing that down. And that's something that's very powerful. If you can, for a couple of minutes, and this is what hypnosis does, it suspends your disbelief that it's possible. And when you do that, you start to reprogram your own thinking, you put in the patterns that you want. And that's what's so exciting about this to me, because now I'm intentionally and consciously creating an amazing life, rather than just, being a victim of what life is throwing at me and trying, I felt like a ping pong ball in a machine going back and forth and all over the place. So self-hypnosis is absolutely helpful. It's one of the best ways to bypass the critical thinking mind that says, oh, that's bull crap, I can't do that. Or, I don't have any whatever, so I'm not good enough or enough of, or something like that. But hypnosis does that for me. Meditation does that too. There's lots of things. I'm trying to think of the fellow's name. Well, Dr. Joe Dispenza is doing a lot of work in the Mind Map Institute. And he's doing meditation, which is a very similar thing. I mean, hypnosis is the same kind of thing. It's taking you into a state where you're bypassing the critical factor, the thinking part of your brain, and then you put the messages in that you want in there. Things like, I'm confident, I'm strong, I'm able, I'm willing, you know, that kind of thing. Thank you for the question.
I can just add to that as somebody who practices hypnosis, but partly due to the way this year started for me, and then the lockdown, one thing and another, it really wasn't a good year for me the way it started. And I've got two very good friends here, and I was just talking and saying that I don't know, I feel like I'm off center, I'm unraveled, and I had this strange feeling that I needed to understand my spirituality more and become more connected to it. I have no idea where that came from, but that was what I had in my head. And I was speaking to them, we were spending an evening together, and my friend Alison explained that she's been doing hypnotherapy sessions, and she'd done some over the telephone, came around and visited me here, and led me through. I mean, I've done meditation, and I can get into a relaxed state quite easily. So she began talking me into the relaxed state, and then went through a walkthrough process of me walking along a path, going down to a wood, through the wood, and experiencing the leaves brushing on my legs and my arms, coming out onto a beach where there was sparkling water on a curved bay, a fluffy cloud in the distance that was moving towards me, and I had to look up to the cloud and imagine all the things that were troubling me going up in a spiral of smoke into the cloud. Yeah. And at the end of it, she brought me out of that relaxed state and said, well, you know, you won't feel anything immediately, but it may take a day or two or a few days. Well, within, I think, the next morning, I woke up, and I was the most productive I'd been this year. I just did so much in one day, more than I'd done in 3 months. Yeah. And then a couple of days later, I realized I'd had a mindset about something which I'd self-imposed. And that realization allowed me to flip that round. And my whole spirit, my whole being was like I'd been elevated. I'd been given wings. You know, I can fly. You know, it felt that good. And since that moment, that self-discovery, if you like, or that release, whatever she did trigger, I'm not quite sure how to explain it sensibly at this point in time, but it opened a door for me, and I have just. I've delved into so many things. I'm not going to go into them here. You'll see them appearing in my articles probably. And maybe we'll have a live session on more in-depth and deeper meaning things. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. By chance, I'm coming across this.
I wanted to circle back. I saw a message here from, well, Dawn was saying, that's what I try to tell my wife, but it doesn't work so good. And she's asking, has anyone ever tried TM, Transcendental Meditation? I'm thinking is what is meant there. Yeah, I don't use necessarily Transcendental Meditation specifically. I did sign up for the course, and then COVID-19 happened, and it got canceled. So my instructor, my teacher, couldn't come from Alberta to go through the steps. But really just getting into a deeply relaxed state of mind where your critical mind, your thinking mind is shut off, and you're able to just work directly with your subconscious is what the attempt of all of those kinds of things are for. Even rituals, different rituals that we do. I know I practice a lot of traditional First Nations things like Vision Quest, and a few of those exercises, Sweat Lodge, Rain Dance, did Rain Dance, 4 days and 4 nights of dancing. And Vision Quest was 4 days and 4 nights of sitting out on the prairie on a blanket, in no food and water, nothing for 4 days and nights. Those are pretty powerful experiences, but they do take you into that state. So that's what you want to do. To answer the little bit, try the leadership. What you got to know there is that this isn't instant. You know, sometimes the epiphany, like for you, Sophie, in your experience, there was a moment where there was a click, and that happens a lot of times. For my wife, there hasn't been a click, and for me, in this process with her, there hasn't been a click. In fact, I celebrated a little bit this morning because I went to her and said, "How do I look? Do I look, you know, internet worthy kind of thing. And she said, you look really good. And that's one of the first times that she's paid me that type of a compliment. She said I look good before and supports me and buys me some clothes and things now.
Okay.
But that took a while. It took a while for her to, give her time. These adjustments. I mean, I've been living with this since I was a child, a small child, at a conscious level, as you have and many others have. And for her, this might be, it might take. It's been 4 years for my wife to get to the place now where she says, you know what, you are who you are. I love who you are. I'm not going anywhere. And it's been a slow process. So try to give her the latitude and have the patience to continue showing her who you still are and who you want to decorate your body to look like, or how you want to decorate your body. Help her see that there's a separation there. It does take time though. You were going to say something, Sophie.
We're running short on time now, so I'm just going to
look at that,
a couple things. We've got a question by Arlen, which it's a very deep and big question, and I'm not sure we can give it the justice it deserves in a minute or two. So perhaps we can deal with that in a forum. Aya says, here in Latvia, most TGs are very much under the radar, so it's great to see someone. You're welcome, and we hope we can support and encourage you to have at least a stable life and just get to keep it in a good place in yourself.
Yeah.
In a good place. Char from CDH has sent a question to both of us, asking, when we write an article, do we decide ahead of time what we want to write about a specific thought or feeling?
Oh, from Cynthia.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't. For me, when I write an article, I sit down, I go into that space. I get calm, I get relaxed. I shut off my thinking mind. And I just sit there for a couple of minutes, and then an idea will drift in like a lazy cloud on a Sunday afternoon, and I go, and it's done. And then I go back and correct all the spelling and grammar and errors, because there's a ton of them, because it just flows. And it's rare that I sit down and actually think I'm going to write an article specifically about this. Sometimes I do, and when I do the same process. I sit down, I say, okay, I want to write an article about therapist, for example. When I did the therapist article, that's what I did. I want to write an article about who's your therapist. So I put that down, brought the page up, and I just sat there quiet for a while, and then all of a sudden it's chems, and I start writing. So how about for you?
It varies. Sometimes I just wake up and I've got something in my head, and I just have to start writing. I don't even have breakfast. I'm on the laptop typing away.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's through things I'm discovering, and then the dots join up, and the dots join up, or things spark off in my head here, and I make a new connection, and I see something from a different perspective. Sometimes it's that click moment, and you never know when that's going to hit you. But because I'm going through so many learning processes at the moment of all different things, I'm delving into things in quantum physics levels and morphic resonance, and there's so much stuff, and that starts to change the way that you perceive things that have happened in your life and in the past, and how you go about your daily life and interact with everybody, really, and yourself, and having that loving awareness. We're getting close to about 3 minutes left now. So
right. Vanessa mentioned about Wanda's comment about stepping off the shoebox.
Yeah.
And there's a little heart there with it. That's wonderful. I like it. That's good.
Right,
and thanks for the question.
Jamie Lynn says, do you think journaling is important for us?
My answer to that is absolutely yes, and keep it positive. I used to keep a negative journal. I wrote all my anger in there. Write positive. The more what you focus on expands. What you think about, feel about, write about, talk about. If it's positive, more stuff positive comes to you. And if it's negative, more negative stuff comes to you. That's a truth. That's a universal law.
Yeah, invest your time and thinking into the positive.
Yeah,
and
you'll make it
better.
Yeah, put all your energy into the stuff you do want. And that's hard. It's hard to get that sorted out, but that's where we want to go.
Okay. Well,
this was in my imagination before it was here. Okay.
Yeah, that was as well, especially that prawn. Look, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a forum where people can pick up this thread and maybe repost any question that we didn't manage to answer. We're still getting used to looking at a screen on one side and then our live view here. So we're in a very much an early stage here.
Yeah, you guys get to grow with us. We're like infancy here.
Well, I've just thoroughly enjoyed this. I think you have too, Char, and I can tell by the big smile on your face.
Yeah, I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
I put this down as its first success, and I will be working on doing some more. We perhaps will continue with the theme of taking a couple of articles and going in depth with them, but I think we'll have other plans which we'll announce as we go. So I'm not going to reveal it all just yet. You know, watch this space. Pass the word around, to explain on chat how great it's been, and yeah, we can only go upwards and forward from here. So thank you for your support, your love, and your time. And thank you, Vanessa, for allowing me to put this together and invite Char. And Char and I have become such wonderful friends. We're really getting to know each other, aren't we, Char?
Yeah, we sure are.
Yeah,
we've had some crazy experiences.
A lot of virtual hug.
Yeah, big huggles.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Okay, well, I think we're less than a minute. We may, we've gone already. We know, no. Oh, that's me moving this mouse.
I'm glad this has been enlightening for you, Jamie Lynn. That's awesome. Thank you, Dawn. She says, great job, ladies. Love you both. Aya, thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's so good.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aya, Vanessa, Jamie, Dawn. I'm sorry we didn't get to answer your question. I'm trying to scroll down. I'm sorry, I can't find them. Erin, is it Erin? No, Erin we dealt with. I'm sorry if we haven't answered everything.
We will go back and look at them though. We'll try to answer all the questions.
We'll do our best to answer any questions that you post. I don't know whether we'll be able to have a longer session if the demand is greater, Vanessa. So that's kind of a little message.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
And good plug for your book, by the way.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, well, this has
been an absolute blast.
And incredible, really incredible. I feel so empowered and energized by this. As soon as we finish this broadcast, I'm going to be thinking what the next one is.
Yeah, it's already rolling in here. Some of the questions were so deep. We've got to, I would really like to be able to go deeper and help people make some big shifts.
Well, the trouble is we are limited by time constraints. So anything that's going to take real depth explanation is not, you can't do it justice in a quick, short answer. I appreciate the need to ask a question like that. But I think it would be unfair of us to try and give a sensible, constructive answer in such a short space of time for those kind of questions. So apologies for not being able to address that, and hopefully we'll find another way of dealing with that, and in the forum at least, So stick with us. We'll help you as much as we can. Keep reading our articles. Maybe write your own. That's always good. We need more people, especially on TVH, to write.
And learn the life skills, the simple life skills of how to intentionally and consciously create your own amazing life. That's what we're all about. That's what we're doing.
Okay, that was Arlene whose question we didn't get to answer. So apologies, Arlene.
Okay.
And I think Vanessa, have we hit the time slot now? I see my clock's gone over the 1 hour. So I'm thinking we might be off air.
I see a yep from Vanessa.
Stream 30 seconds. So kisses to you all. Thank you once again. We love you all. We send out our best wishes and love and for a good, happy life. And if we can help you get that, great. So,
yeah, baby.
All right, see you next time.
Turn on the girl fang. How do you like? This is so fun. I love it. Thank you.
That's been wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.